It seems that some of my colleagues either have not done their homework or they're unable to understand it, so I'll read it slowly. Prohibiting the intentional injection, release, or dispersion of chemicals, chemical compounds, substances, or apparatus into our atmosphere within the borders of the state of Tennessee for the express purpose of affecting temperature, weather, and the intensity of solar radiation. I would offer you, colleagues, that everything that goes up must come down. And those chemicals that we knowingly and willingly inject into the atmosphere simply to control the weather or the climate are affecting our health and have the potential to. So I submit to you that this is a very common sense thing to do and that we should prohibit it in the state of Tennessee.
This amendment would make sure that we are protecting Yetis or Sasquatch or Bigfoot from whatever this conspiracy theory is that we're passing in this legislation. And as most of my colleagues probably understand coming from me, this legislation is not to be taken seriously. This amendment's not to be taken seriously, and so I'll withdraw the amendment, and I would ask the sponsor of the bill to withdraw his bill because it shouldn't be taken seriously.
I'm sad to see that the Tennesseans that are watching this tonight might see that some members in this House don't take serious their health. And I think that is quite indeed a travesty. I have several cited resources from both the news channels, ABC and MSNBC, to Yale.edu documents that lay out a long history of injection of aerosols into our atmosphere with the hope of controlling the temperature of the earth.
I'm taking this is to prevent global warming. Is this what this is an attempt, this bill to do is prevent global warming?
Representative Fritz.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill is, as it clearly states, is to prohibit the injection of chemicals and chemical compounds into our atmosphere.
Representative Mitchell.
So is the Tennessee Air Force going to enforce this legislation, or who will enforce this?
Representative Fritz.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me just read to you something from the House Energy, the U.S. House Energy and Water Appropriations Bill, page 119, for those of you all have a copy and want to follow along. The recommendation provides not less than $39 million to improve the understanding of key cloud, aerosol, precipitation, and radiation processes. The department is encouraged to coordinate with the Department of Homeland Security and other agencies as relevant to support the analysis of near-term climate risks and impacts on infrastructure and communities. Within available funding, $3 million is for pilot program to provide instrumentation for the observing marine aerosols, greenhouse gases, and other environmental factors as relevant, deployed on commercial or other non-dedicated ocean vessels. So with that, and to my colleague, I would offer that you do some homework and see that this is actually a real thing.
Representative Mitchell.
Yeah, you know, I don't know. I'm going to trust Harvard. I'm going to trust Harvard over the House Republicans in Congress. And it's very appropriate. This bill is on the calendar on April 1st.
My question to you, sir, it's a serious question. You brought the amendment, not us. Do you believe in Bigfoot?
Representative Clemmons.
About as much as I believe in a conspiracy theory about contrails. But as you can read in the amendment, it refers to those who do believe in Bigfoot. Unfortunately, I am not those within the pseudoscience of cryptozoology. Therefore, I would just leave it at that. Thank you, Mr. Leader. I appreciate the question.
Representative Mitchell. Oh, Leader, you're good. Sorry. Representative Parkinson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I tried my best to listen to the amendment. The clerk read it so fast, but I guess I got to. Am I speaking to the sponsor Of the amendment?
Yes, you
Okay,
are.
Mr. Sponsor? Mr. Sponsor? Mr. Sponsor? Oh, okay. In the amendment, does it make BigFoot the official Sasquatch of the state of Tennessee?
Representative Clemmons,
It does not.
Representative Parkinson.
I'm not sure if this is a point of order or not, but can we amend the amendment to make BigFoot the official Sasquatch of Tennessee?
Well, Representative, first of all, you've got to get one drafted. So, Representative Parkinson. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Representative Towns. Representative Reedy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And of course, hearing this piece of legislation in the Agriculture Committee, and of course, testimony from a doctor out of East Tennessee, the discussion came to silver iodide. And they use that for seed clouding, creating it to rain. But the question for the amendment sponsor, we know that it will cause birth defects and cancer in human beings. Will it do likewise in Sasquatch?
Representative Clemmons.
You know, that's a better question for somebody within the pseudoscience of cryptozoology. Is that better, Leader? Thank you.
All right. Representative Reedy. No more. Any further discussion? Representative Pearson. We're on the amendment.
Yes. We're on Chairman Clemmons' amendment, right?
Correct.
Okay, I'm just making sure nothing changed. So yes, I know. Chairman Clemmons, can you talk about this pseudoscientific group of people and what it is they believe about chemtrails? I know you're not a part of that group, but what are the consequences of people believing sort of these conspiracy theories and its effects? And I heard my previous colleague mention things like birth defects and cancer, and I would have loved to see legislation dealing with pollution or things like that in our communities, but that's not what we're addressing. So, Leader, can you talk, or Chairman, can you talk a little bit more about why dealing in conspiracy theories is happening versus addressing some of the real issues, or why you think that we need to be dealing with different issues?
Chairman Clemmons.
Thank you, Representative Pearson. I appreciate the question. I question the focus here. We do have a lot of issues that are going into our atmosphere that are man-made, unfortunately, a lot of abuse of our environment and our natural environment. We want to protect, all of our nature and organisms and living organisms and environmental welfare from broad-scale harm that is taking place across the country. And it's unfortunate that we are focused on these conspiracy theory type ideas being the cause for some of that, or I believe that there's such a thing. There's a claim that they're mind engineering and things like that. And I guess I just want to make sure here that we're not wasting the people of Tennessee's time and resources and focusing on issues that matter here, that are actually harming our environment and our atmosphere.
Representative Pearson.
Thank you. One of the things that's mentioned in this amendment, which is pulled from the initial legislation by my colleague who's in the well, is supporting this theory. And colleagues, if you look up this, the first things that you're going to see is that the chemtrail conspiracy theory is erroneous belief that long-lasting condensation trails left in the sky by high-flying aircraft are actually chemtrails, consisting of chemical or biological agents sprayed for nefarious purposes undisclosed to the general public. And in this amendment, and also it's in the initial amendment, you sort of share some similar language. It is talking about the federal government potentially using its power and authority to disperse chemicals into the atmosphere, and that those activities might be occurring in the state of Tennessee. And so, sponsor, do you know of any case at all from the Department of Environment and Conservation or otherwise where the federal government is actually spraying chemicals on people in our state?
Representative Clemmons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I do not, nor have I ever heard of anything such.
Representative Pearson.
Thank you. And so legislation or amendments that are seeking to sort of put forward this theory, as the language in this one is seeking to do you believe that the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, who is responsible for monitoring air, soil, and water quality, regulating industrial and agricultural emissions into the air, soil, and water within the state of Tennessee to ensure the safety of the public while not impeding agriculture or commerce within the state, would have notified the General Assembly if there were instances where the federal government was intentionally dispersing chemicals into our atmosphere?
Representative Clemmons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I would be confident that Commissioner Hatcher or one of the other commissioners would have raised this very serious issue, given that agriculture is such a driving force in our economy across the state of Tennessee. If there was something like this being done that would be harmful to the population or our crops or our livestock across the state of Tennessee or our soil, I'm confident that, well, I would like to think the Lee administration would have made us aware of that.
We're voting. All those in favor of Senate Bill 2691 as amended, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Aye, 70, 22 nay, one present not voting.
Senate Bill 2691 and received constitutional majority. I hereby declare pass without objection. Most read, serious table. Call it mixed bill, Mr. Clerk.